Hello and welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's video, I would just like to take this opportunity to wish you all a happy Easter. I hope over the duration of the long weekend you've been able to spend some quality time with your family, friends and loved ones. Okay, on to the video today. We're going to learn some very simple Milky Way editing techniques using Lightroom, Photoshop and one or two other little programs that we will learn along the way. For those of you that haven't seen my previous video, I'll link it now. I highly recommend you go and have a look at that video. What we learn in that video, the techniques on how to photograph the Milky Way, are actually setting us up nicely for the edit. One of the main learnings from this is you photograph in a way that you can edit, and the two come together nicely. And that's what takes your Milky Way photography from this to this. So without further ado, let's dive on into Lightroom and we can begin the process. Okay, here we are in Lightroom. Now these are images I've edited before, as you can see here. I brought them back to the edit stage and I'll play around with them later. So I actually want to edit these 7 images here. Now these 7 images, they're going to layer on top of each other, and using Starry Night Landscaper, that's going to give me a really nice clean sky. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this first one and I'm going to click on the last one holding in Shift, and that highlights all of them. Make sure this auto sync is in place, because what I do to one I've got to do to all of them in the edit purposes. Alright, so again, very simple basic edit that we're going to do here. We're going to come over and we're going to start with the highlights, and I'm just going to boost them a little bit. See some of the colour in that sky start to come up. As you can see, it's edited them on all images. Shadows, I'll boost them a little bit. I'm not too worried about the foreground at this stage, but it doesn't hurt to see where it is. Again, these photos have been taken at my usual 15 seconds f2.8 ISO 6400, and I use that as my standard for these Nikon S lenses. Okay, I'm going to boost the whites a little bit so we can see some of the whites in that Milky Way. And I might pull the blacks back a smidge, not a biggie at this stage. And a little bit of contrast just to bring in some of the detail there in the Milky Way. And I'll just pop the exposure up a smidge, nothing too crazy there. Okay, move down to this panel here. I don't worry with the texture, but I will give it a little bit of clarity. That's just allowing a little bit of detail here in the Milky Way core. And a little bit of dehaze. Now I don't use much. Dehaze is good, but what it does is it really adds a horrible blue into the sky. So what I'll do here, I'll go back up to my temperature and I'll just add a bit of yellow, warm it up a little bit. That looks a bit better there, happy with that. A little bit of air glow there from the green, and obviously the lights of Moor are there in the background. So I'm just going to add a little bit more purple to this, not too much, but just enough to give it something. There we go. Alright, coming down, I'm not going to worry about here or this setup or any of this. I'm going to come down, I'll come back to denoise, but I'm going to come down to this here. Always make sure you have your chromatic aberration and your lens profile. Now these Nikon S lenses, it's all set up in camera, hence the built-in here, so it's got it all worked. It won't actually change anything on the screen. Okay, now I'm going to come up to, this is the magic bit of the latest Lightroom Classic. I'm going to use the AI denoise. It does a really good job. So again, making sure all these are highlighted, I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to let it run its thing. It's saying 25 seconds there, but it will take a little while for each of them. So we'll jump back in once it's finished doing its AI denoise. So good old Lightroom and the AI part has edited these 7 videos. They are all the same, ready to go. So what we're going to do, we're going to export these videos, these pictures, ready to go onto Starry Night Landscaper to make our nice clean Milky Way sky. So how are we going to do that? File, export, and that'll bring up this page here. Okay, I'm going to choose where it's going. I've already set that up, so I have a tutorial folder on my desktop. I'm going to put it in the sky, and I'm just going to keep that as it is, sky, and then it will name them 1 to 7. I'm going to save it as a TIFF, no compression, and that's 16-bit component. Okay, so hit export there, and that will export the 7 files. Once they're done, we'll then open it up on Starry Night Landscaper. Okay, here we go. So we have our 7 sky TIFFs. These TIFF files are what we're going to use to give us one clean file. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to right click on all of them, put the box around. Right click, open with. Now I'm doing this on a Mac, so I'm going to open this with Starry Landscape Stacker. So I click on there, and that's going to load up nicely. Now I'll just pull this across onto the screen for you so you can see it doing its thing. So as you can see, it's just loading up now, reading those 7 images. So let that do its thing. Okay, so it's loaded up, and the first thing we've got to do is it's got to work out where's the sky, where the stars, and where the grounds. Now, as you can see here, it's put a few dots on this noise here on the landscape. That's okay. So what we've got to do is we've got to get rid of them first. So we've got to take them out, and that shows the software that these aren't in fact stars that are going to be moving, but it is part of the ground. So what we're going to do now, we're going to add red dots to these areas where the stars and there's no real dots. So you can see, just be quite random, it's not a precise thing. We're going to set them all up there nicely, and that shows where the movement is. And the same here in this part of the screen there, you can see we've got so many stars. As you can see, going towards the South Pole, we're starting to get the star trails there. But again, there is not much in the way of dots to tell the computer, hey, there's stars in this area. So I'll add a few more in there. Okay, so we've got a rough, I said this is a real rough ready setup, so we're happy with that. We'll hit Find Sky. And as you can see, it's done not a bad job of working out this blue thing is the sky, and obviously it's left the ground untouched. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go and fill in where it's messed up just by holding in the left. I'm going to put a little tab in there and a little smidge over there. It doesn't matter too much because that's blown out there. There isn't much in the way of stars that are going to get out of trail. So as you can see, it's kind of, we covered the whole thing. The ground's good, it's not overlapped there, so I'm quite happy with that. That's a good one. So what we're going to do now is we're going to align, because I want to use all of the images, I don't need to take any of these out. We can align with this one here. I actually quite like where the Milky Way is going to be. Exclude images, we don't need to worry about that. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to align now. So it's going to give us a composite image of everything aligned. So at the moment we're working on down here the composite image with everything layered through each other. So now we're actually going to align and composite it. So it's just going to do its thing now. And that's going to give us, as you can see, a composite image with all those stars lined up. Now, this is the tricky bit, but it's important. So this minimum star dupe, you've got to select the right one for what you want. Okay, so the great way of doing it is if you hover over, like you can see, it's telling you now. So the one we've currently got it set to, that will remove the outliers and take the 40th percentage at the horizon, avoiding the duplication of stars at the risk of increasing noise. Well, the whole idea is to reduce noise, so we don't really want to risk increasing it. And what I also want to do is I'm going to actually reduce stars later, so I'm going to do a bit of star reduction on this. So for me, this is the one I use. Remove the outliers of the 40th percentile at the horizon, minimize the noise at the risk of duplicating stars. I don't mind if it duplicates a few stars because I am going to take them out later on in the process. So for me, I'm going to go for the minimum horizon noise, and that will give me the cleanest possible sky to work with. Okay, and these are just so you can see, we can view quite happily with that, and that's what the composite image looks like. Okay, so I'm actually really happy with that composite image, and that's the one I'm going to use. So I'm going to click on Save the Current Image, and what will happen is I will just find my file that I want it to go into here in the tutorial, the sky file, and it's going to save it in there. I'm actually, although it's called it the minimum horizon noise, I'm actually just going to call it sky, and I'm going to call it final composite. You can call it whatever you want, it's just to make life easy. So if we hit save, that's now going to save nicely that composite file, and now it's going to be ready to open with Photoshop. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this down, and I'm going to go back into here, the sky file, and I'm going to open with, and I'm going to open this with Photoshop 26. Okay, so there we have my image. So what I'm focusing on is primarily the sky and the Milky Way core. I want to get this looking good. Okay, I will worry about this later when I get it back into Lightroom. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock the background. I'm going to hit Command and J and duplicate my layer. Now there's a reason for that. I don't want to be working on the base layer, so I've always got a fresh copy. But what I said, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to do some star reduction. So again, Command J to give me another layer. And on this top layer here, I'm going to go into filter. Now I've bought from RC Astro, and I'll leave the link down below, a little program called Star Exterminator, and this is to do with your star reduction. Again, it's not something everyone wants to do, it's something I enjoy doing. So I'm just going to hit on that, I'm going to hit OK, and that's going to run a little AI program which is actually going to get rid of some of these stars, which looks pretty cool when it's finished. So we'll let it do its thing, and I'll come back to you when it's done. Okay, so Star Exterminator's done its thing, and what it's done, it's actually removed all the stars, as you can see, and I'm just left here nicely with the nebula, a little bit of the green air glow, and obviously the light pollution from beyond. So that's great, I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to call this layer Stars Removed. Okay, that just makes life easy so you don't get confused for the next little bit that we've got to do. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take this main layer, I'm going to pop it above it, just for make life easier. And on this one, I'm going to go into Image, and I'm going to go to Apply Image. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take those stars that are missing from the Stars Removed layer, and I'm going to hold them in here. So to do that, I'm going to subtract from the Stars Removed layer. And look, there you are, in the background there, you can see the scars have appeared, so I'm going to hit OK. And I now have a layer with stars and hot pixels. Save confusion, I'm going to call that layer Stars. Very, very simple. So we have our stars removed and our stars layer. Now, what I'm going to do now, just to give you an idea, this is before editing, if I put this to sorry, let's go to the top layer. If I put that to a blend mode of color dodge or linear dodge, lighter color is the one I normally use, you can see just by flicking through what the final image is going to look like. It looks pretty good, right? We've reduced a lot of the stars, so I'm quite happy with that. However, I'm going to move this Stars Removed to the top for now. I'm going to edit on this panel, and I always like to have it at the top. Okay, so I'm going to go into Filter, and I'm going to go into Camera Raw Filter. We'll let that load up. Actually, you did that bit. Here we go. Right. Camera Raw Filter. So very similar to what we did on the bases, but the great thing with this is we can work on the nebula, not the stars. So we brighten this up too much, we've still saved those stars in that other layer. Okay, so it's really good. So I'm going to start on the light area, keep it simple. I might bump the exposure a little bit, highlights a little bit more, shadows, yeah, we'll put them up a little bit. Whites, maybe just a smidge. We'll pull the blacks back a bit, and then we'll add quite a bit of contrast, start to bring that Milky Way out a little bit more, and maybe a little smidge there on the exposure. Again, this is all your own personal feeling, and bring the blacks back a bit. Starting to get a bit of detail here, but we're not quite there yet. So I'm going to go into effects, I'm going to add some more clarity. And as we bring that clarity in, you start to see the detail in the Milky Way. Now it's very easy to go too far, and you get all these artifacts and it doesn't look right, okay? And you can see it looks really post-processed. So less is more with the editing. So I'm gonna just pull the clarity back a smidge, and again, a little bit more dehaze. and that'll take out a lot of the thing. And we're starting to bring that detail back, so I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to go back into the light side of things. I am just going to boost the highlights a little bit more, maybe the whites a little bit to start to get that detail out. And I'm going to go into the color, and I'm just going to correct the white balance there from the from what we did there with the dehaze. So I'm just going to add a little bit more yellow to recover that. As you can see, that's starting to come nicely, and I might boost a little bit of purple in there, not too much. You can go too far and kill it. Okay, effects, maybe a smidge more in the clarity, not too much though. Just want to see, you don't want to boost it too much, but there we go. I'm quite happy with that. That's looking good there. So when we're all happy, we click OK, and it'll update this stars removed layer. Okay, so now you can see that the Milky Way is a lot brighter and shining through. So I'm going to put the stars on top now. Stars on top layer. And what we're doing, we're bringing them back, so we'll change our blend mode. Now you can use these ones, light colors is a good one, I like it. You can go linear dodge, but that tends to bring in all the stars back, which you don't want. Color dodge, screen, there's quite a few there. It's like your own personal preference. Lighten's quite a good one. I like lighten color, that just seems to, the detail seems to be a little bit better in there with that star reduction. So I'm clicking on there. So as you can see, with what we've done here, we have a very nice sky. We still have not much going on in the foreground, and that's okay. So what I'm going to do now, I am going to go into layer, and I'm going to merge visible. And what that's going to do is it's just going to give me one layer here, okay? And I'm going to use this layer a little bit later on, once we've done some work on our foreground in Lightroom. Okay, so that stars layer, that's ready to go. So it's good work. It's always worth saving your work as you go. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on File, Save As, and I'm just going to save this one into Sky as well. So that file is good to go, sorry. And I'll just change it to something else. I'll call it to Sky RC Astro as a TIFF. You can call it whatever you want, and we'll hit save there, and that's saved, ready to go. Alright guys, welcome back into Lightroom. So we've done our sky for this foreground. Now we're actually going to do the foreground itself. So these images happen to run along here. So as I did previously with the sky, I'm going to click on the first foreground image, and then holding shift I'm going to click on the last foreground image, and that highlights all of these. Now what I'm going to do, because it's quite dull, I'm going to click on one that I know what my light colour is going to look like. So I'm going to click on this one here, this image here, just to get the white balance correct. So as you saw in my last video, I shot with a torch with an orange and yellow gel over it, CTO orange and a little bit of yellow. And that's just to give me a little bit of playing around here in Lightroom with the colour, the sort of the warmth that I want to get. What you would have noticed, the headlight in my films is, my headlight is quite blue, so you have to warm it up. Otherwise you end up with something that looks horrible. But anyway, I'm going to play around now with just this colour here. As you can see, as I increase the yellow, it's going that nice golden, quite a warm gold colour. And again, because I've selected all of them, if I do it for one, it does it for the others, so that means I have a consistent colour. I just find that a little bit hot, so I might just pull around. Now I normally just play around with the colour until I get something I like. Something that's not too hot, not too orange, and then say not going into the yellows or the greens either. So you just got to find something that you want. Now what I like about these orange colours that I tend to use is it's quite an Australian colour with the gravel and everything, the red dirt that we're famous for over here. So I don't mind replicating that in these shots. I mean the actual sand and pinnacles itself was round about quite a yellow colour. So I'm just going to warm that up a smidge. And again, I'm just playing until I see something that I like. I might just add a little bit more purple just to give that a bit more of a pop. And there we go. That's the colour I'm going to go with. It's a slightly warmer colour. Actually, it's not the colour I'm going to go with at all. I'm just going to pull this back down a bit. Add a little bit more in there. We'll go with the purple. It's a bit hard because of the CTO gel, but you get it right, it looks good. So something like that, that nice warm colour. What I am going to do is I'm going to edit on all these. I'm just going to make them a little bit brighter. As you can see, I can turn it right up and you brighten it up a smidge. I am going to add just a few little highlights. It is quite dark. Now, for those watching, that was a 15-second exposure at f8 ISO 800. Okay, that's how I'm starting to light my subjects. Now, as you can see, the pinnacles look really nice here, but this is really bright and horrible. So in the next step, I'll show you what that looks like. I will add the shadows in just so that we can see a little bit more. And we can play around in Photoshop later as well. So it's quite interesting. I'm just playing around with the exposure, so I'm something I'm happy with. This is obviously overexposed and cooked, and I don't want to work through that. So that's fine. We will we'll deal with that in Photoshop. So I'm just going to check some of the others just to make sure it has gone across. See, that's actually quite bright and overexposed. And probably in that one there's a lot of brightness there, so what I think I might do is I might just pull these highlights back a little bit. Less is more with the light paint. As you can see, just a smidge on that pinnacle looks good. And if I just go to some of the others, again, that's quite warm. That's okay. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to individually edit the light, not so much the temperature, but the actual light itself. So I can click off and on back onto this one here. Once the computer decides it wants to play ball, there we go. And so for this one here, I'm just going to pull the highlights down a smidge. And I say you can do that individually for each one, as long as you've got the colours correct. Now that one there is actually quite dull, as you can see, so I might just add a little bit of light there. So I'm bringing up the exposure somewhat. And I'll just pop the highlights up a smidge, just got to be wary of hot spots. Shadows, and I'm going to go and I'm going to individually edit each one. I'm not going to make you watch that whole thing through, so I'm going to do that now. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone and I'll start again. I'll sit down. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone in and I've individually edited these with just purely the light, so not worry too much about anything other than the light. So what I'm going to do now, again, select the first one, hold in shift all the way down to the end and select the last one, and these are going to now be edited in Photoshop. So what we do is we right click on these files, we go into edit in, and I'm going to open them as layers in Photoshop. So what that's going to do now, that's going to load up Photoshop, and these will all be layered on top of each other. So I'm going to shrink Lightroom down for you guys, and we're going to go into Photoshop. It'll take a few minutes for these layers to come up. I'll let it do its thing and I'll get back to you. Alright, here we go. So welcome back into Photoshop. As you can see here, we've got all the background, foreground images, the light painted, that's all come through that we sent through from Lightroom. And obviously we have our sky from RC Astro here ready to go. So what I want to do is I want to bring this stars layer into the foreground layer. So what I'm going to do there, I'm going to go edit, copy, little circle does its thing, we'll go into these layers here, and then we'll just go edit, paste, make sure it's at the top, stars layer is at the top. Now to give you an idea what the whole thing looks like, select the stars layer, scroll all the way down to the bottom, hold in shift, collect that, click the bottom one, and then just change your blend mode to, you can use screen or color dodge, whichever one. Lighten's a good one, lighten's the easiest one. And it gives you an idea roughly of what the image is going to look like. Now obviously we've got the star trails starting to form here as we're looking to the south. We've got all the swooshes from the light paint, and the light looks horrible, so we've got to go in and we've got to make that look nice, right? So what we're going to do here is let's get rid of all these layers. We don't want to be seeing what they're doing at the moment, there's way too many. So all I'm going to be interested in is the stars layer and the first background. Okay, this is going to be my first point of call. So as you can see, there's the background off, There's the stars layer above it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do with this layer here is I'm going to make sure I'm selected on it. I'll make sure I can see it, and I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click on the layer mask in this little white box. But before I do anything with that layer mask, I'm going to go into the stars and I'm going to reduce the opacity of that stars layer. Now there's a reason for that. So what I'm going to do here, and you can see it just with the one here, you can see these star trails that we saw starting to form. We've got to get rid of them, right? So if I reduce the stars to, I don't know, 50 odd percent, doesn't matter what it is too much. I'm going to work on this first layer, I'm going to work on this mask, okay? Now, to use the mask, we need to select a brush. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm gonna rub out the sky basically on the underlay, not the main sky image, but the one underneath. All right, so I'm gonna select a nice hard round brush, select that. Okay, and there's a little trick here with the colors, okay? Black to conceal and white to reveal. Okay, so we are gonna literally rub out the sky on this mask, okay? And what we do is using the right bracket is we just paint in over. Now, as you can see, I didn't check my opacity, so that opacity needs to be 100% and the flow 100%. So we'll go back and do that, and I am gonna literally paint over the sky. I think I can hear you guys saying, what is he playing at? Well, remember, this is the sky in the background layers, not the sky in the stars layer from RC Astro. So all will become clear in a minute. So I've got that as I can with my eye. So what I do now, I just view it, I view into about 200%. And what I want to do is just pick out all these stars or this area around here. So I'm going to have to shrink my brush down, because there's going to be bits of movement, right? So I want to make sure that I'm picking up these stars, because they're going to move in every picture, and we don't want that, because then you're going to get horrible. It's going to look horrible. So we'll just fill in along here, get rid of the stars as we can. I'm not going to make you watch this, so I'll come back when it's complete. Okay, there we go, folks. There is our first layer mask to eradicate the sky. As you can see, it is a dog's breakfast. But when I go into this stars layer and I bring the opacity of that stars layer back, you can see quite clearly that it gets rid of the filter and it looks good. So that is absolutely fine for what we're working on now. So we're going to go back to this layer here. Now, this as it stands is just our sky. So we need to copy this mask onto every one of the backgrounds to eliminate the sky. So what we do is we hold Option and we drag it down using the left click we hold the left button in down to the layer below. Right, now we're going to edit this. So as you can see, we've got quite a hot area here, and we've got a nice touch of light here and here. So I'm going to use the same principles as we did, but this time I'm going to change the brush up. So I'm going to have a nice soft round brush. Okay, opacity is 100%, which is good. And what I'm going to do, painting on this layer, I am going to take this horrible overcooked area out, and I'm just going to feather around it. I've got a little bit here that I don't like, so what I'm going to do, I want to darken it a little bit, so I'm going to put my opacity down to about 30%. I'm just going to colour that edge off, take that edge, see there, that looks much better. Or I didn't want to do that there. So the good thing is we can flick back to white to reveal, and I'll just paint back over where I didn't want to lose. I do want to lose that bit there, so I'll just go here and just smidge that off there. There we go. So we're kind of bringing it under control. I will go back to the 100%. I just want to take that and make it less sharp. Just something like that, very simple. So there's the first one, the first layer under our sky looking good. So second one here, again, a real heavy hot spot. I'm not actually sure that that's doing much. It is adding a pop of light there to that pinnacle. I don't like the rest of this, so I will use it. But before I edit on on there, I'm going to bring that down. Let's come back to this. The only bit I'm really interested in this shot is what it's doing to this pinnacle here. So when I turn it back on, you can see that. The rest I'm going to erase. So 100% black, and we'll just come across here and take that out altogether. Okay, that's that layer done. Happy with that. So we'll bring the next one down. Now I love the light that's bringing. That's much nicer and subtle. a little bit here that will feather out. So again, we'll work on that. So I'll bring that down. Again, that's using Option and the left button. We drag it down to the layer below and we make sure that this one is here and we'll work on it. I'm just going to feather that edge out. Turn it off and on a couple of times just to see where we are. Let's add a pinch of light to that pinnacle, which is nice. You know, on that top layer, yep. Pinch of light to that pinnacle. Happy with that, that's good. Let's go to the layer below. See, we've got a lot of light coming in from the side. I do like the effect it's having here and here. Oh, sorry, here I should say. So I will use this one. I am going to just drag that down again using Option and the left button. We just slide that down and we're going to work on it. I'm going to feather this bit back. This is the bit I don't like, so I'm just going to feather that back a smidge, something like that. And let's see what we've got. I do like this here. This looks nice and it looks a nice bit of light casting on there. So we'll keep that. We're happy with that. Next layer. Oh, that looks quite hot. It is adding a nice bit in here. There's too much there and all across here, but I do like the kiss it's put down there. So we'll work on this and we'll take the rest out. So as always, we'll drop the sky filter below before we do anything. Make sure we're working on the right one. I'm going to take all these horrible artifacts out, rub it out. Again, just on the black, 100%, take it all the way down. I don't mind that there, I will reduce that and I might just take that edge out. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to bring the opacity down. I don't know, let's go 35% just to take that overshot out here. And just to reduce that there a little bit. That looks quite good, I'm happy with that. And just take that edge out altogether. And there's before and after. I definitely love the kiss of light on that pinnacle there, so that looks good. All right, our next layer. Okay guys, I've just sped up the video here just to save a bit of time and we can get through this process. So I'm doing exactly the same thing for each layer. I'm dragging my mask down before I start editing on that layer. Keep bringing that sky mask down and doing the edit, and this allows you to build up the picture, control the light. The other thing you can do as well is control the opacity of the layer. If it is too bright, you can pull the opacity down as well. Alright, so there you go, there's a basic rough of your image. As you can see, we've got a lot of hot spots. I probably could have lit up there and there, but you know what, we can change we'll change that with the crop in a minute. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to merge our layers. So what we do is we go to layer, merge visible. I'm happy with that. You can go further if you want. So we've got one handy layer now. I'm going to Command J, we'll work on our different one. I'm going to get rid of this noise now. Normally, you could go filter, noise, dust and scratches, right? You set it to 1. But you're going to lose a lot more of your stars, right? So there's the preview, you turn the preview off, that's before and after, right? So I've got a lot of hot spots. It was very hot when I took the shot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom into 200% and I'm going to select, right click, spot healing brush. And you can see we've got a little bit of a star trail there. So I'm going to just get rid of that while I'm in it. And I'm going to go around. I'm not going to make you watch all these, but I'm going to get rid of all these hot pixels that you can see. Now you guys don't want to be there for everyone, so I'll speed this bit up. Alright guys, here you go. So I've gone around, I've got rid of all the little hot pixels that are on there, just using the spot healing brush tool. Very simple, you know, using the brackets, or in my case the mouse, to make the spot relevant. As I say, go in about 200% on the view and you can see what it's doing. So now we've got pretty much a finished image here, guys. You can do the light painting stage as long as you want, you know, and that's where you add your own creativity in terms of the colours, etc. There is a lot more we can do. We could add a vignette, etc. But that's, as I say, the whole point in this shoot was simple Milky Way photography. So all we've got to do now is File, Export As, and when it's ready, you can send it out as whatever you want, you know. Best to keep it as a JPEG, high quality, and export that out. That's ready to go. Export away, and as I say, I'm just going to save that very much onto my desktop, and I'm going to save that in my tutorial in the edited export. Okay, and now we have, and I'll bring it up for you to show. I go back here, we now have a nice final Milky Way light painted foreground blended using those techniques that we learned out on the pinnacles, and ending up with this. Okay, so there we go. We've come up with a really good simple editing process to get consistent, stunning nightscape Milky Way images. And I hope you guys can see the correlation between how we shoot in the field, as we did in our previous video, to how we edit in the studio. Bring the two together, works hand in hand and complements each other. If you did get something from this video, guys, I really would appreciate a like and a subscribe. It works wonders for the channel on YouTube, and it really gets the videos out there. If you want to comment down below, please do. I've enjoyed interacting with you guys, hearing your comments, your questions, etc. It's all good, so please keep them coming. And that's about it from this video. I will be out soon to shoot my next video and share my time under the stars with you guys. I hope you in the next few weeks get a chance to get out yourselves and practice your in-field shooting and come up with some excellent nightscape images using the editing techniques we went through. Until the next one, guys, stay safe and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.